Hi, I'm Holt McCallany, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Facts, what up, what up? RealFansRealTalk.com, where Arthur Diamonds, Trip Young, and intern Tom for the white and black fans, Asia to Manhattan. I get all my facts from my bro Mark the Stats Man. If you're not tuned in, I recommend the CAT scan. And if your brain checks out, then you deserve a backhand. Sports, gossip, all the hot topics. RealFansRealTalk.com got it. They got the hottest bloggers.
Is Jeremy Lin hurt?
Well, log onto the site and you can hear it from them first. I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor. Tell him Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter, tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified cosign, you know what I'm about, son. RealFansRealTalk.com. I'm out one. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. RealFansRealTalk.com. RealFansRealTalk.com. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. RealFansRealTalk.com.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sometimes I like to let that intro music, vibe in my head a little bit. Shout out to Bobby Stone for that theme song right there, at Bobby Stone on Twitter. But of course, I'm Trip Young, and you are tuned in to Real Fans, Real Talk, the livest sports show right here on BronxNet, Channel 68 on Cablevision, Channel 34 on Verizon. And we got a whole lot of sports topics to get to today. But before I do that, I got to introduce the team. And of course, to my right, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark the Statman Skevich. What's good?
How's it going, everyone? We're live once again on BronxNet Television. Mark the Statman Skevich here. Can't wait to get into all the sports topics. But first, the rest of the crew. We got the lovely Rose Claire joining us again.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here. As you can see, I'm wearing my Ravens Super Bowl shirt because I have nothing really. No Nets were very well represented in the All-Star weekend. So I'm going to go Ravens again today. I actually didn't even get to go to the game, but I know somebody very close to me who did. So, and to my right is the wonderful Sean. The Sean man.
Sean Fontaine here.
Doing his best.
How you guys doing here?
Hey man, had a great weekend. Watched the All-Star stuff. I really enjoyed myself. How about you guys?
It was good.
Everything was good.
All-Star festivities were good. There were, I enjoyed a lot of what went on. The All-Star game itself, I watched it. It was good.
It was more of a game this year, though. Really.
Well, I do need to say one thing. You guys got to stop with these ugly tight pants. All right, and this goes to you, Russell Westbrook. All right, if I ever see you with some tight camouflage pants like that again, I'm gonna have to come talk to you about that. That's just insulting to the game of basketball as a whole. And I do want to shout out Rose because she is wearing that Ravens shirt. I don't think it's between that and the Yankees jersey that she likes wearing. I don't know which one looks better on her, but she look good today. I just wanted to let you know.
Definitely.
Send your votes in. Send your votes in.
Yeah, send your votes in at fan mail at realfansrealtalk.com and let us know which shirt you like better on Rose, the Ravens or the Yankees. And
considering we're in the Bronx, most of the fans are Yankee fans and like seeing the Mets fan wear a team that she hates, the New York Yankees. When you lose shot for shot on the show, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. And Sean Fontaine put his glasses on today thinking he will be a little bit smarter. Maybe he'll win next time around. But in the meantime, since he lost, he has to wear, the Dallas Cowgirls fan has to wear the jersey of a two-time Super Bowl MVP, Eli Manning, something his quarterback, Tony Romo, couldn't do.
Get it out of here.
not in my house.
I'll accept this willingly for today. Only for today.
That's good though.
Another edition of Shot for Shot later on the program for you guys. The way it works, we have 5 questions. Loser once again has to wear team apparel of a team that he hates. But before we get into all that, we have a special tribute to one of the fallen legends in sports, longtime Lakers owner. Dr. Buss passed away earlier. And for a little history, he purchased the team back in 1979 in one of the most complicated sports arrangements because it also includes the LA Kings, the Forum that was in Inglewood, and 13,000 acres ranch in Kern County. So he purchased all of that for $67 million at the time. It was a little deal. Usually you just buy a team, not 2 teams, a ranch, and some land, and all that
40
stuff.
acres
But
and a mule. All of that.
that same year, 1979, it did not take long under his ownership to win a championship. They acquired Magic Johnson in the first round of that draft, and then won the championship with him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar already there, along with a lot of other talents
James
the
Worthy.
following year in 1980. So.
So we got a little something for Dr. Bus. Rest in peace. This is for you, all the fans, family, friends. You will be missed. Icon in the sport of basketball. Even though I can't stand the Lakers, but Jerry Buss, he did great things with that organization. So we gotta salute him. And if we get that video going upstairs for the fans at home, show you a little bit about the life of Dr. Buss.
To the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Jerry Buss.
Jerry Buss was a Renaissance man and a rock star, but most of all, he was a champion, 10 times over.
None of this would have been possible. None of this is possible without the greatest owner in the history of team sports.
Buss grew up in Wyoming, but moved to California while pursuing his master's and doctorate at USC. He made his fortune by turning a $1,000 investment in apartment complexes into a multi-million-dollar business. Real estate gave him the power, but sports remained his passion. In 1979, he fulfilled that in buying the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Kings, and the Great Western Forum for $67.5 million in what was at that time the biggest financial transaction in sports history. That same year, Buss invested in another gold mine, Magic Johnson, and they created the Showtime era.
Did you ever dream that your Laker team would win the championship in its first year? Well, I've been praying for it for about 8 months and 4 days.
Over the next 4 decades, the Lakers added 9 more NBA titles, including 3 straight with Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant.
Here's a man who was way ahead of his time. He understood how to bring the best basketball players together and provide entertainment and championships to this great city.
Along the way, Buss remained steadfast in staying behind the scenes, eventually handing over the day-to-day responsibility of the organization to his children, namely his son Jim and daughter Jeannie. Under Buss, the Lakers became a national obsession and a bastion of greatness, rivaled only by the hated Boston Celtics. Nothing gave Buss more pleasure than beating them one more time in 2010 to give him his 10th trophy. Every day he was alive, Buss lived as a legend and as a champion.
So again, R.I.P. Dr. Buss, and in addition to those 10 championships with the Lakers, he also is just coming off of winning Stanley Cup Finals. As we saw, the LA Kings took that this past year. So he's definitely got a lot of championships on his belt. One of the greatest owners. You know, I put him up there with George Steinbrenner, you know, from the Yankees. So, you know, it's a sad thing in basketball, because he's somebody that's meant a lot to the sport for so long. You know, everyone's praised, you know, Dr. Buss, not only his teammates and his organization, but just around the league. He's just a great basketball mind. He was very smart in drafting Magic Johnson. We saw, you know, what happened there. He brought in Shaq. You know, they got Kobe for Vlade Divac and got him 3 more, and then got Paul Gasol in, you know, a trade that I like to compare to the Indians giving away Manhattan for a sack of beans, but and 1-2 more. But again, salute Dr. Buss. You will be missed. But now, with that being said, we got to kind of uplift the spirits of the round table. We did have All-Star Weekend, you know, in the midst of all of that drama going on, the 3-point shootout, the dunk contest, the Shooting Stars game. You know, everything was amazing. But I'm going to start with the All-Star game. Chris Paul, MVP of the All-Star game. I know, you know, we kind of agreed on a radio show, which is every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. on RealFansRealTalk.com. If you guys want to check out that show as well as the other archive show, just log on and you can hear exactly what we said. But we kind of agreed. We all thought the East were going to win. That was
a little bit biased.
That was not the case.
Well,
Well, yeah.
They had more of a chance this year, though. You
Yeah.
can't say that, though. 'Cause they have been getting smacked the last few years, too. So it was more of a game for the most part. So.
And they also talked about, when we talked about on our show, how Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are all on the same team, and head coach of Miami was coaching them, and he brought up Chris Bosh to get their, to get the three together. So I just thought the chemistry would be a little bit better, and Chris Bosh kind of boshed the game a little bit on his part. So I think.
Well, that's because he was getting shook left and right. Chris Paul threw the ball through his legs.
Yeah, and
Tony
Chris
Parker
Paul,
tried.
yeah, exactly.
It was just a bad All-Star game for Chris Bosh. A bad All-Star weekend actually, because he's got beef now with Lil Wayne, who actually has beef with the rest of the Miami Heat and the NBA as a whole. After he got kicked out of the game, he said some pretty explicative things about the Miami Heat and LeBron and all of those guys, and he also mentioned some things about Chris Bosh's wife, which I'm not gonna repeat. Just because of how reckless I thought it was. So it definitely was not a good weekend for Chris Bosh or the rest of the Eastern All-Stars. But Statman, what did you think about the game?
Well, the game itself, like you guys said, it wasn't the West didn't completely run away with it. It was the East were in there pretty much throughout the entire game. It wasn't a blowout like we've seen before in the past. So it was exciting to see a closer game. We still got to see a lot of alley-oops and fancy plays, especially in enjoying that between the legs Chris Paul through Chris Bosh over there. And when asked why did he do that and embarrass him, he said that's the only way to get around him because he was guarding him too close. So he figured he'd do that. It wasn't intentional to embarrass him, but who knows? Maybe he did want to embarrass Bosh Spice over there. With
the height difference, he could have just went through Chris Bosh's legs and got to the basket.
So like 7'1" is like 6 foot or something like that.
Yeah. But we definitely didn't see that. We had the 3-point shootout, which was won by Kyrie Irving, the young gunner. Nice. He beat out the Red Mamba, Matt Bonner, the self-proclaimed Red Mamba. Steve Novocaine, he also who was the favorite. But he did a very good job. Came 2 baskets away from breaking the record for the 3-point shootout.
Well, 2 points.
2 points, rather, yeah.
Because he did miss 2 money balls, which, one of those baskets would have tied it with Craig Hodges, who got a score of 25. And in that final round, he scored 23. A big shocker, a little bit of an upset for Kyrie Irving to win it when we had some other favorites over there. And the Red Mamba celebrating a little early after advancing the first round, having his T-shirt out there. Maybe he felt like he was going to lose, so he'd celebrate beforehand. So
yeah,
get
just
that
in case.
Shirt out there,
hey, get those cells up, man.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of redheads in the stands, supporting the Red Mamba. So I'm not mad at him for that. Hopefully, he can sell some T-shirts, get his endorsements up a little something, even though he didn't win, which would have really helped him. But it happens. But more importantly, the dunk contest, which we had a lot of mixed reviews about. There wasn't enough star power in the dunk contest. Some people don't like the fans voting. And then there was also the new format, which put the East against the Western Conference this year. So it was kind of different, where you could be, have a score that was better than somebody else, but then in advance because only a certain amount of people from the East and one from the West.
And there's only 2 rounds really, as opposed to the traditional 3 rounds and 3 dunks per round. It's there was only 2 dunks in the final round as opposed to 3. But I'm not really too much against the East and West format, mainly because there was a charity thing with the whole entire All-Star Saturday, the dunk contest, 3-point contest, shooting stars, skills competition. All 4 of those events combined for points. Winning team got $350,000 in charity. Losing team got $150,000 in charity. All the charities were children's organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of America. So that's a good thing to see. And we didn't really have any of those cases with somebody scoring more on one side, but it could happen. So that format, whether they're going to keep it or not, is a different story. We got into much more detail of All-Star Saturday on our weekly Sunday radio show, which airs every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on RealFansRealTalk.com. We also archive our TV episodes and our radio episodes on Facebook as well. So make sure you like us on Facebook, facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk. All our individual contact information is on the realfansrealtalk.com website under the contact section of the page. So like I said, we did get into a lot of depth about the dunk competition and all of All-Star Saturday, but we didn't. Sean doesn't join us for that, so kind of curious about, well, Sean, what you thought of NBA All-Star Weekend.
Honestly, I really don't care for a lot of the stuff that comes with the weekend because, like I said, for the most part, the game is going to be a blowout. You don't really see too many original dunks. So if anything, I really like to watch the three-point contest, if anything. But I think as a whole, this year with all these new additions and, you know, and be more competition or whatever, and a few of the guys, I guess, you know, they play together in the Olympics and stuff like that on the east side, it made all for a better weekend, you know. So I definitely appreciated this year, and I think it was cool this year versus other years where it's like, what am I looking at the slam dunk contest for?
Well, we do have some highlight footage of the slam dunk contest, which we're going to get into in a minute. But I want to get to this fan mail question, which is from Terry from Uniondale. And Terry writes, did this All-Star game performance put the stamp on Chris Paul being the best point guard in the league? I'm going to say I already thought he was the best point guard in the league before this All-Star game, but this definitely does help. 21 points, 15 assists, and a dominating performance, 4 steals. You know, what else can you ask for from your starting point guard?
Well, I mean, you do have Derrick Rose, who hasn't gotten the chance to play, but as far as active Chris Paul, I definitely agree. Even with Derrick Rose, who's to say when he comes back he'll be the same MVP caliber player that he was during his MVP year? But you can't forget about him. Other than Derrick Rose, I don't see anyone in the same class as CP3. You have Darren Williams, you have Rajon Rondo, but I just don't see them on the same level as Chris Paul. What do you think, Rose?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the All-Star game is not really the best time to ever judge a player because it's not at their top competitive level. But Chris Paul, he's such a smart player. You know, he even said he watches basketball. I feel kind of bad for his family because he has his wife and his kid just watching it constantly. So he knows that, as he gets older, it's not only going to be the athleticism. So he really just plays with his brain. And you could see that, that the three-point shot he had over Joakim Noah, who went all the way out to kind of defend him, and he just took his time with it, and he knew that was his only shot. Yeah, it was
very much
a little embarrassing for him.
Yeah,
exactly. He embarrassed a lot of people to be.
Why would you go out there? That's no man's land for a 7-footer.
I do agree with that statement. I think he is the best point guard. Again, who knows with Derrick Rose coming back, but for now, yes.
Man,
what about you, Sean?
You know these 7-footers nowadays, they think they're super athletic and do all these different things. You seen Dwight Howard? He got hyped because he shot that 3-point and he made it or whatever. So I mean, a lot of these guys are they're getting better and better or whatever. But like you said, that's no man's land. You shouldn't have went out there. You were playing yourself basically. So
it happens. I do have one question. We saw with Kevin Garnett where he only played the first 6 minutes, and he said that he would rather see the young guys playing the game. But do you guys feel like he should have sat out the All-Star game and let somebody else take his spot, or because he only played the first 6 minutes of the game and then that was it. So it was kind of like a wasted spot on the roster. So maybe somebody else could have actually helped the Eastern Conference team to a win.
Yeah, it seemed to me like that he just wanted the prestige of being on the team. We all kind of talked about it in our previous shows. We didn't even think he should have been on there to begin with.
Yeah.
And then, he goes and he takes up the spot and then he plays the first quarter and that was it. So it seemed like he didn't really want the hassle of playing and maybe getting injured or making a fool of himself because he is getting a little older. I hate to say that. He's not terrible, like he'd make a fool of himself, but he didn't really match up with the rest of the guys, and he might have known that and just wanted to sit it out. And then instead, he took up that spot. So I agree. What do you think?
I think you're definitely right. He really just wanted to get, because you see everybody had their little badges with all the stuff that they did or whatever. And I think that's really all it is at this point. He's trying to build up his stats. He's won championships. He's done great things in his career. So it's like he has nothing to prove. He really didn't care. The fans voted for him to be there. So it was like, I'm just go out here and play for these few minutes and let the rest of these young guys go ahead and do their thing. So
yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, like you said, he was voted in there, so it's the fan vote is something that it's the way it's structured. There's really not much we could do about it. And he is getting older up there in the age, and he told his coach beforehand that he wanted the young guys to play. And you know what? It's hard to spread time between 12 people as it is, and he knows he didn't deserve to be there, so giving up his time, yes, he got the ability to start. I don't think he cared about the prestige. He was definitely honored by the fans being voted in there. He could have just not shown up, but what good would that have done? Like, you know, I mean,
hey, you could have let Brooks start, because you see when Brooks came off the bench, he was super hyped.
He wanted to make fun of Melo, but when the cameras got on him, he wanted to make it look like it was friends. It's like a little game between the two of them, and he wanted to make fun of what's his name, Suit as well. Too,
Craig Sager.
Craig Sager.
Yeah, he definitely did that. But we can get to that little video. Show you some highlights from the dunk contest this past weekend.
Dressed like this.
On All-Star Saturday night, the Sprite Slam Dunk Contest. And these are your finalists. After the first round, it's Terrence Ross out of the East and Jeremy Evans. This guy out of the West, he's the defending champion, and he can see the future. He unveils what he just did and then just signs it for the fans. So creative stuff from Jeremy Evans. How would Terrence Ross respond? Well, he dons the Vince Carter jersey and performs a dunk that Vince would be proud of. Off the side of the backboard, catches it 360 and just slams that one home. So it's Jeremy Evans' turn. Jeremy Evans with huge hops, and watch the hang right there, and then he throws it home. This one would go to the fans. The fans have to decide, and Terrence Ross, trying to impress those fans, goes between his legs, and jumps the little guy as well. Terrence Ross and Jeremy Evans. Drake, the Toronto guy, impressed. Kevin Durant impressed with Terrence Ross. What would the fans think after witnessing this dunk? Well, we go to the fan vote on NBA.com, and Terrence Ross gets the win. He's your Sprite Slam Dunk champion.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Real Fans, Real Talk. You just finished watching the clip, the highlight reel from this year's dunk contest. I got to say two things before I pass it over. One, if Terrence Ross had hit that kid, the NBA would have been facing one of the biggest lawsuits that we've seen in the history of sports. And two, Jeremy Evans on that last dunk when he jumped over the picture, I just wanted to see him take the curtain off of the picture in the air while he was doing that dunk. I thought that would have solidified the dunk contest for him. But what do you guys think? Statman?
Well, I think, like you said, the biggest lawsuit. And I can picture the prosecutor over there standing in the courtroom like, all this for a show? You put the kid's life in danger for a show? And, so on and so forth. No need to get into too much of that. But we did get into a lot of it on the radio show. You can check out all of our opinions on that. Is there anything you guys wanted to add, Rose or Sean, about the dunk contest?
Well,
good for me.
We did talk about this on the show, but you were saying, Kenneth Ferry, the manimal, had a jump or a shot where he was between the legs and dunking it, and I think that, or off the backboard. Sorry, that's what it was. Yeah. Off the backboard, between the legs, and then dunking it, and compared to the ball boy shot where he did the same thing essentially, but it's a lot easier to go between the legs when you're being tossed to. But I guess the pressure of having a small child underneath you kind of makes up for it. But I thought that shot. He was bent over.
It wasn't anywhere near as impressive as some of the other dunks out there, but I mean, he did get the victory. The fans did vote. Out of the two finalists, I think Ross did deserve to win. So, I mean, there was other ones we mentioned, James Flight White of the Knicks being robbed from dunking almost from the free throw line with two hands, which adds to the difficulty. Not getting a score of 50, which some of them that got a score of 50 I don't think deserve so. But like I said, if you want to check out all of our opinions, including Face Facts from the radio show, every Sunday, 7:30 p.m., the archives, including that one, are all on the RealFansRealTalk.com website. We also talked a lot in detail about Michael Jordan's 50th birthday, which brings up an argument that is never, ever going to end as far as who is better, MJ or this one, or MJ or that one, or, Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds. I get into details with a blog that I wrote a long time ago, which is still fresh, because of the fact that it goes into exactly what we're talking about. The blog is titled "My Generation is Better Than Yours." It's on the RealFansRealTalk.com website under the blog section, and Mark the Statman Skevich's blog. Happy birthday, Michael Jordan. We had a couple of weeks of festivities thanks to your birthday. I personally feel he's the greatest, still will be, probably always will be, but careers are still yet to be finished, and we'll see what happens. There's plenty of other players that are going to be playing in the future as well. But, not to talk too much about Michael Jordan, since we did get into detail on the radio show. Baseball is around the corner. Jeter says he's ready to suit up for opening day. That ankle injury that he sustained in the playoffs against the Tigers on October 12th. He says, listen, it's a broken ankle, but it was back in October. I feel that I will be ready for opening day. There's no reason for him not to be. And another injured Yankee, Santana, is going to be back on the mound as well. So some good news for the Yankees. What do you think, fellow Yankees fan, Trip Young?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Rose. I know she's the biggest Yankee fan.
Y'all numbered on this one, 3-1 of it.
But yeah, it's good.
Not one that's just forced to wear the jersey.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Seeing Jeter come back. I know he said in an interview where he had to pretty much sit on the couch for 6 weeks. The surgery and then recovery from the surgery where he couldn't move so much. So now he's back. He's on the field. He's ready to work himself back into playing shape and be ready for the season. And then on the other side of the ball, on the other team, the D-League team that we have in New York, the Mets, Johan Santana, who was one of the better pitchers in the league before he came to the Mets. But then after he got to the Mets, once you go to the Mets, it's kind of like a black hole where your career just gets worse and you go through injuries. Yeah.
I was thinking
so, but he's back as well. He's throwing off the mound. He's throwing pretty good off the mound. Rose, I'm gonna let you take it because I know you're the only person who believes in the Mets.
I don't want to go off like I did on the radio show about Johan Santana, so I'm going to leave it really short and simple. In 2012, well, we'll start with 2011. He obviously didn't play; he was injured the entire time. And then in 2012, he started off with that no-hitter in June and was really optimistic. And then he had more injuries after that with everything else. So I think that. I think that now that he's rehabbed enough, I think he'll be a lot better this year. And I think the fact that he started off so well in 2012 and then, he struggled for the 10 games after that due to the other injuries. I think that for sure now that he's rested and doing better and rehabbing, I think he will be better. And I have to be optimistic, but
Well, the Wilpons, he did say that their financial situation is taken care of. So maybe that might help, even though they don't, have R.A. Dickey anymore. Yeah. But they're a Cy Young Award winner from last season.
You know what happens with Mets? It's it's kind of it's kind of very repetitive. The beginning of the season starts.
They come out swinging. Right?
You gotta have the faith. You gotta have the hope. By the time the halfway point of the season goes around, they realize what the Mets stand for, and that's my entire team sucks. But it is the beginning of the year, so I understand Rose, the optimism and everything. It's understandable. You got to root for the team. I went through that for so many years with the Knicks, but the Knicks are actually doing well now, so it's logical for my positive thinking.
Yeah. There's
I'm not knocking
logic.
it.
Exactly. Yeah.
As long as you realize that that's the reality of the situation.
That was the reality in 2012. This is 2013.
Anytime you're ready to really come on over and support a team that wins, Major League Baseball championships.
I will never sell out.
Has to the Yankees. Great players. Because once again, Rose,
shirt, by the way.
I love when you wear that Yankees jersey. It seems like you wear it with so much pride. It looks well on you. It fits well, and you're just. It's just everything is just so great.
Look at Sean Fontaine. He's smiling more.
The way I see it, I make this thing look good on me. So hey.
Yeah.
More power to you.
When you lose shot for shot, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, what we're talking about, for those of you just tuning in live on BronxNet Television, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate if you lose shot for shot. We're going to get into that in a couple of minutes. Sean Fontaine, as a Dallas Cowgirls fan, he's wearing the two-time Super Bowl MVP Eli Manning jersey, so we're enjoying that. Rose is the Mets fan who occasionally has to wear a Yankees jersey or other team apparel of a team that you hate. I switch back and forth between the Boston Bum Sox and the Bum James, baby the Bum James jersey that gets taped to me, used
It happens.
Particularly enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get into shot for shot, though, other news in baseball: A-Rod and Ryan Braun in baseball are on the PED list. Major League Baseball is about to implement more random testing, unannounced testing, no chance to prepare, no chance to go and get any magical formula to flush out their system. So it's going to be more
So
random.
can't use
and it's
quick
gonna be
flush?
during the course of the season as well.
No quick flush?
Police breaks.
No. Oh. All right, sorry. I'm sorry.
Maybe they'll get that bald boy to like pee in a cup for them.
Yeah, maybe we have to do that. We're going to do, before we jump into shot for shot, though, I'm going to run through the NCAA top 5. Duke is no longer in the top 5. They'll actually bump to number 6 on the list after they obtaining their third loss of the season to an unranked Maryland team. So your top 5 remains as Florida at number 5, 21-3. Michigan State at number 4, 22-4. Gonzaga at number 5 with a 25-2 record. Miami at number 2 with a 21-3 record, and of course your Indiana Hoosiers at 23-3, the number 1 team in college basketball. However, this list will change because tonight, after we go off the air, Michigan State is at home and they are playing Indiana. So one of those teams will take a loss and be pushed off that list or a little bit further back. If Indiana loses, they'll be pushed back probably to the 5 spot. If Michigan loses, they'll be bumped out of the top 5. So we'll wait and see you next week. We'll talk about that, or we'll get to it on Sunday show, which again is every Sunday live at 7:30 p.m. RealFansRealTalk.com. If you guys want to get updated during the week, then like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk, or you can just hit us up, at FanMail at RealFansRealTalk.com. We do respond to all of our fan mail. As you guys see, we pull up the fan mail questions every week. We love hearing you guys' questions, and we love all the support that you guys give us. So thanks again to the fans. And with that being said, Sean Fontaine, you can take off your Giants jersey, your championship caliber jersey. Put on your ref uniform. Myself,
away from me.
the champion from last week, and the stat man will be getting into the ring. I have to defend my title.
I'm the reigning champion. They took
Well,
that
actually,
loss.
you
Until
lost.
I took that loss.
You
all
took
right?
that loss,
That
yeah.
doesn't mean reigning.
Yeah,
champion.
that doesn't mean
hey,
Just like
Just like
you
the
were
Monday
right.
Monday
You
Night
right.
Raw, he took the
You right.
belt,
Yeah.
threw it out there, created a new one. He has the right to do
Exactly.
that. You're not the champ anymore. Something you gotta face.
Yeah, it happens. Don't worry about it, man. It's not your fault.
I am the reigning.
It's
not-
I did manage to catch myself
We're the reigning.
I was. It was past tense, guys. I apologize.
It's all right, man. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Take it away, Fontaine.
For those of you that don't know how Shot for Shot works, if you're just joining us, we have a series of 5 questions unless we go to overtime. Whoever the judge agrees with gets the point. We don't give any 4 points for a nice hairdo or minus points for a bad hairdo like I'm having today. It's
Your
1
hair
point.
looks great.
Thank
What are
you.
talking about?
You're the best.
You're not in it this week, Rose. You don't have to suck up. You're not in shot for
storing it
shot
up for
this
next
week.
If whoever goes first does not get an advantage either. If they agree, no point is awarded, and we move on to the next question. So out of 5 questions, if we're still remaining at a tie, we do go to overtime. But with that being said, let's get it rolling. And Sean Fontaine, can you start us off with the
get
first
it
question?
on. Will Danica Patrick win the Sprite Cup race this season?
Spring Cup?
Sprite. Sprite. I'm
The
sorry.
Sprite Slam Dunk
Listen,
Contest.
I know you want to endorse Sprite. They gave you that big
You're right.
contract, but they haven't sent the check
Sprite,
yet. So
Sprite and Sprint, send the check in for mail for the Fans Productions page. So we'll be waiting for that one. And
Will she with the Sprint? I keep saying Sprite. The Sprint Cup race this year, guys.
you need a drink.
Very much.
All right. Considering she just qualified, I'm gonna say no. Has nothing to do with male or female, but she just qualified, so I think she's got a long way to go before winning one.
Yeah, NASCAR is a sport where it doesn't matter gender. It's just you either drive fast and you can hit those corners right, or you don't. And I don't think it's her time yet. I think she's still got some ways to go. She hasn't really lived up to all the hype and the fame that she's getting. Is more so because she's a female and she's a beautiful female, but she hasn't really on the track lived up to all of the acclaim that she's getting. So I gotta agree with the stat man.
Yeah, and I just want to add, you were saying it doesn't really matter if you're male or female with the driving. Actually, women, I think, have a bit more of an advantage because they're lighter, and that's one of the things that the guys have been having an issue with her is the fact that she's actually lighter, so she can go faster. And yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't think that she's lived up to her hype, and I think she's done wonderful things for women in that sport. But at the same time, I think the best she did in the Sprint Cup is 62nd place, so she's got a ways to go in that, and she's won one title since her reign over the past however many years it's been. So yeah.
I think it's clear who won that one.
Nobody.
Both of you. Glass half full.
All right.
Both won.
And I think I'm gonna butcher this name. Was it Rafael
Nadal?
Nadal won his first event.
You're a tennis fan and a NASCAR.
There you go. I'm sorry if it's not Venus or Serena. You probably don't catch me watching them, but hey, I'm sorry. He won his first event in almost over 2 years. Over under 2 tournaments before Nadal wins his next major tournament.
I'm gonna say over, because with these smaller tournaments, it's not the same as playing on the big stage. One of the big four, which of course is Wimbledon, Australian Open, the French Open, or the U.S. Open. So you kind of really have to work yourself back into playing in those events, and I feel like it's gonna take him at least 2 events to really get his feet wet and kind of sink back in, because he's coming off of a major knee injury.
Yeah, no, before that he was always ranked in the top 5. He just kind of top 4, and he was just dropped out of that recently because of the injury. There's only, like Trip Young said, there's only 4 events or 2 events. It's, that gives him Australian Open just finished. That will be, within 6 months. I don't think that's quick enough, especially with guys like Djokovic, Murray, and Federer out there, the competition out there. I just don't, I don't see it happening. I do see it happening again. I just don't see it within the next 2 events.
Yeah, and I think wasn't that one of our shot-for-shot questions a little while ago?
Yeah.
And I think that I was the one that said that he will get back to the top. But that being said, he also
I think you
said,
gave me the point for it. Or I gave you the point. One or the other.
Yeah, it was something. Somebody got a point somewhere. But yeah, he did say his knee was a little sore on Friday, so I think that takes it away.
Yeah, so what is his last victory was in 2005 in the cup? Yeah, so we had like an 8-year difference between then and now. So.
Still at a tie.
Still at a tie. All right. Was California coach Mike Montgomery's 1-game suspension for shoving a player fair penalty? Was it a fair penalty? Was it too harsh or too light?
I'm going to go with too light. As far as shoving a player, as a coach, you shouldn't really put your hands on the players. So I'm going to say it was too light. I'm thinking at least a 3-game suspension. So.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say it was fair. 1 game. When you get, bumping the ref in the NBA, you only, that's a 1-game suspension. So I'm gonna say it was fair. I didn't think anything more than that,
Yeah, and I agree. I actually agree with you, Trip, because when I looked at it, it kind of looked like a quick jolt, like
who's the
that
judge
revved
over
him.
here? I'm sorry.
I like to hear what everybody say. I already know where I'm going with this, but we like to hear what Rose has to say.
He was looking at me. Do you want to? You make your judgment, and then I'll say sorry.
But I was
no, go ahead, and then
I agree with Trip. I don't really think it was too crazy of a shove. After that, whole little shoving incident, he turned it up and he helped them win the game. And
so that should help. Maybe shove him more.
And at the end of the game, he said that it happened. It's my coach, and of course you've seen Bobby Knight do way worse things than that.
Yeah.
So come on now.
Bobby Knight is the standard.
Hey.
It just looking at the footage as well, it kind of, it seemed like a quick little hey, snap out of it. Like when they described it, it seemed like
he asked him, did he want to play? And at that point,
and then he put him right back in. Yeah, he put him back in.
It wasn't malicious. It was heat of the moment.
It was what he needed. Yeah.
So you're saying it was fair, not too strong though. 1
game. Yeah, no, one game is fair.
All right. So that would be 1 point, Sir Trip. How much weight do you think players should put on? How much weight do you think? How much weight do you?
We gotta.
How much weight do you?
You want to read the question?
How much weight do you put on players at an NFL scouting combine?
That's a tricky one.
How much weight do you
But,
gain when you go into the combine?
Can we have like a
Yeah. I'm gonna say not too much because at the end of the day, you still have to do it on the field. You still have to, if you're on defense, you still gotta, hit your spots. On offense, you gotta hit the routes right. Your quarterback has to get those snap count right. So and it's very different when you're around, when you're in practice and on the combine and nobody's around you to chasing you down when you snap that ball, or there's not a receiver that's running his route. If he comes up short, none of that it takes place until you get on that real field and you see those 300-pound linebackers coming at you. That's what's the message. So I'm gonna say a little.
I'm going to say a lot because, number one, when you talk about pressure not being on the field, this decides that they have every scout from every NFL team there. So the pressure is at its highest level. This is the most pressure they probably will feel because this kind of decides the rest of their life. And when we had KJ Stroud on here last week, talking about his workout regimen and how he currently runs a 4.5. The difference between a 4.5 and a 4.4 is huge, and it shows that their work ethic during the off season and how hard they're training to better their current numbers. So they're, if KJ gets to that 4.4, it's a huge level. He increases his speed. And all the NFL scouts out there will see that he's really working hard. He's not taking it lightly. He's taking this very seriously. He can handle the pressure of being on stage watching 32 NFL teams, basically watching his every movement and seeing how he performs.
I think that pressure's a little different when you got Ray Lewis running at you. But I digress.
I'm about to say I don't think you're gonna gain a lot because when you're in these combines, you're doing a lot of agility stuff. You don't want to be too heavy to where it's going to, keep you from getting through these agilities real fast. You want to be strong, of course, but that doesn't really mean that you have to put on a lot of weight. You want to be fast, of course, but that doesn't mean you have to put on a lot of weight. So I'm going to say you don't have to gain a lot. So I'm going to agree with Triple on that one.
I think you might have wanted me to talk first this time, Statman. I totally agree with you. They say, first of all,
great minds think alike.
Yeah, they do. Okay.
Oh, now it's great minds. A minute ago was who's the judge? Oh, okay, all right, I got you.
Let's take the 40-yard dash for a minute. They're not just looking at how fast a player can run for 40 yards. They're looking at the coaches have their split time, so they're looking at the split. So that really has to do with the stop and go, which is extremely important. No player runs 40 yards down the field, but a player will stop and go and go 40 yards down the field. The bench pressing, for example, has a lot to do with the endurance and the jumping, the high jump. As they say in football, everybody's open 5 feet above them. So all of these things, they should put a lot of weight onto the combine. I totally agree with that statement, and I agree.
But putting on more weight, I feel like it stops you from, being at your full potential. I know me personally, when I did play sports, I was faster when I was at a lighter weight.
Yeah.
Because when you gain more weight, I see you gaining more weight as the season goes on.
We're not talking about pounds. That's not what the question is.
No, we're saying how much weight do you put on?
Yeah. By weight, we're not talking about pounds. Like, I know that you have some reading comprehension.
Okay, yes.
We're not talking about weight, like how much do you gain. You keep mentioning weight like I was better at a lighter weight. We're not talking about weight, physical weight. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so why did you mention I was
What are you talking about?
He's referring to the statement you made about KJ Stroud. And that's what he was referring to.
You said I run faster when I weigh less.
Yeah, exactly. But what are you talking about?
We're talking about how much like mentally, how important is it? Not weight, like
not physical weight, mental weight.
You're just realizing that now, right?
Weight.
Yeah. How much weight? Like how much do you put on this? How much do you think? How important is it? How much does that?
So we're gonna scrap that question right there.
You want to put your glasses on?
No, right. You want to re-give your answer there?
No.
That man wants to redo.
All right.
Still one nothing. Physical weight. That's not what
you mean. Like weight. Like.
All right.
Physical.
Well, we going into.
All right.
We need to rewrite the question. Sorry.
I feel like we're in Florida right now with Jed Bush.
All right. So is Manny Te'o worth a first-round draft pick?
Yes. Even aside all the controversy, he almost won the Heisman because of his ability. One of, if not the best linebacker in the draft. If you need a linebacker, you should go for him. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I agree. he had a dominant season this year on the defensive end of the football. I know they came up short against Alabama, and I know there's some talk about him and what he would do transitioning into the NFL. But we also saw this same kind of talk with Ray Lewis, and we saw the kind of career he had. Not to say that Manti Te'o is going to have a Ray Lewis career, but doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be a flop. So I take him in the first round. If you're a team that's in need of a linebacker, he's one of the best linebackers in this draft, despite his imaginary girlfriends and all that other nonsense that we've been hearing the past couple of weeks about Manti Te'o. So
all right. So since he agrees, he wins with a score of 1-0. I believe it should have been tied 1-1, and he should be going.
Well, that doesn't mean he would have gave you a point on that. That doesn't.
It'll be nothing if you count the weight question. Apparently, our judge didn't.
It's the way they phrase the question. Okay?
I know.
But even
if put on before the combine.
How much weight do you put on players' performance at the NFL combine?
A player, not physically put weight on them.
But either
But
way,
that doesn't mean that he would have picked your answer right either way. So
all I know is I have to wear a Boston Red Sox hat next week, and the weight of that will be on my head, having to wear a Boston Bum Sox hat once again since I lost. Shot for shot.
Hey, either way, I mean, you might want to put on weight for the combine if you want to bench more, which will give you more agility.
How about that?
So.
Well, listen.
Words you use next time, okay?
with that being said, all right, I'll take my victory, my second victory in a row, and this is still Black History Month, so we are paying homage to our heroes of the past, present. And today we are going to put our spotlight on Arthur Ashe. If you guys don't know who Arthur Ashe is, he's one of the greatest tennis players to play the game. He broke a lot of barriers in the sport of tennis. So, he did it all. He won at Wimbledon. He was one of the first to do that in the singles competition. It's not. I can go on and on about Arthur Ashe, but I want you guys to watch this video so you guys can really kind of go in depth and see the man that was Arthur Ashe, champion, one of the greats of tennis, icon in the sport.
Arthur Ashe was born in Richmond, Virginia, a direct descendant of a West African slave. He discovered the game of tennis when he was 7 years old. A coach who was active in the black tennis community helped him develop. He was nationally ranked when he was 14. Richard Hudlin, a tennis coach in St. Louis, invited Ashe to move here to finish his education at Sumner High School and train with him. Ashe accepted, and by 1962 he was the 5th-ranked junior player in the country. Ashe accepted a scholarship at UCLA. Still an amateur, Ashe shocked the world by winning the U.S. Open in 1968. He eventually won the Australian Open and stunned the world by upsetting Jimmy Connors in the Wimbledon finals. He was the first African-American player to break the color barrier at the highest level of the game of tennis. Arthur Ashe was more than a champion of tennis courts. He used his unique profile to promote human rights, education, and public health. He developed social programs to help poor children, substance abuse programs. He campaigned against apartheid in South Africa. He was plagued by health problems over the last 14 years of his life. He had 2 heart attacks and bypass surgeries and contracted AIDS from a transfusion of bad blood during his second heart operation. Arthur Ashe died in 1993. 6,000 people attended his funeral service. Arthur Ashe was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame. And now we welcome his legacy into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Real Fans, Real Talk. We are so live right now. Of course, myself, Trip Young. I'm here with the stat man, Mark Skevich, Sean Fontaine, the younger brother of Pretty Ricky Fontaine, and of course, the lovely Rose Claire with her Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl T-shirt on, which I just love. Shout out to those Ravens of Baltimore Super Bowl champions this year, and Uncle Ray, of course, went out on top and in style like he was supposed to do, beating those San Francisco 49ers. But we still do have a lot of sports to get into. There was a boxing match this week. I don't know if you can call it a boxing match. It was more of one guy beating up on the other guy to the point where he just knocked him out in the 5th round. But it was Adrian Broner versus Gavin Reese, and like I said, he knocked him out in the 5th round. A pretty dominating performance from Adrian Broner. I don't know which I like more, Adrian Broner inside the ring during the fight or Adrian Broner after the fight doing his post-fight interview, because he's probably one of the most entertaining boxers. But Statman, what'd you think about the fight?
Well, like you said, that the most entertaining part about it is the way he talks and acts before, after the fight. He's a great fighter, no question about it, but he's kind of reminds us of Floyd Mayweather because of his cocky attitude where, some people hate it, and some people just find it funny, like myself and Trip Young. So I used to hate Floyd Mayweather too. He just actually signed a deal with Showtime for six fights over the span of 30 months. So most of makes it harder for that Pacquiao fight to happen, being represented by HBO, but we'll see what happens with that. But we're going to actually go into the fan mail question, which is also on the topic. Horace from Raleigh, North Carolina writes, do you guys think that Adrian Broner would have a legitimate chance at beating Mayweather at this point in his career? I'm going to say no. Broner probably has a little bit more power behind his punches. I don't think he's as good defensively, even though he has that same style as Mayweather. I think Mayweather is better at it as far as avoiding punches and the defensive fighter that Mayweather is. They're both undefeated. It'll be interesting to see, but maybe a little bit later on down in the career, we'll probably see that. Around the same time as we'll see the Pacquiao fight when they're in their retirement home and they're betting for the betting medication or whatever it is at that point to see who wins.
Prescription pills.
You get to use my motorized scooter if you if you win. I agree with you though. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I just think that the experience level, there's a huge gap right now between Mayweather and Adrian Broner. I love Adrian Broner. I think he is the future of boxing. I don't see anybody getting in his way, but to put him against Mayweather right now in his career, he's just not ready. Mayweather's defense alone, he hasn't seen anybody whose defense comes anywhere close to Floyd Mayweather. He's one of the smartest boxers in the sport. So I just don't think he's ready. But again, I love what he's doing. He's also undefeated, just like Mayweather is undefeated. And like I said, I'd like to see him fight Saul Alvarez, Canelo Alvarez, who's also undefeated. I'd like to see that fight, before we even start talking about him maybe fighting a Mayweather or even a Pacquiao, who we know what happened to him. But what do you guys think about the fight?
Well, first of all, I love this comparison because it's kind of appropriate with the whole LeBron, which I didn't really get to talk about, but think about it. Bron, MJ, Broner, MJ, Mayweather Jr., right, guys? So there's this whole comparison going on. And they compared LeBron and MJ at the age of 21, and LeBron actually was kind of in favor of that one. Just like that, right now, Broner is 23, and they were saying Floyd Mayweather at 23, he actually has less wins. He was 24-0, whereas Broner is right now 26-0, and also Broner has 22 knockouts, whereas Mayweather at that time only had 18 knockouts. So, I'm not the hugest fight fan where I can't tell you every you said he's more elusive defensively, Mayweather is, and I totally agree that, maybe defense wins championships in boxing too. But I do know that
in Mayweather's case it does.
Yes, that's what I mean. But Broner also, as you said, has the stronger power punch. So yeah, I think that it's kind of a familiar comparison with what's going on in basketball. But nobody asked me, LeBron. Just kidding. What do you think, John?
Yeah. We got into that
No.
radio show, so you did get to voice your opinion on that.
I know, I'm kidding.
On Sunday at 7:30, so that's on RealFansRealTalk.com if you want to hear Rose's opinion as well as the rest of the crew on the MJ debate. But Sean, what do you think? How much weight do you put on this question?
I think for the most part, because of how the two fight, Broner, he's going for the jugular versus you have Mayweather, where he's more of a defensive boxer. So by you trying to pound away and me being defensive, it's going to give me more chance to beat you later on in the fight or whatever. So I'm definitely going with Money May in that regard. So.
Yeah, definitely got it. So
even though I did lose shot for shot and I have to wear team apparel of a team that I hate right now, I get to wear the New York Rangers jersey. And the Rangers, as I said, they got off to a slow start in the beginning of the year, but we did have a shortened season. No real time to train, no real time to get that chemistry going, especially with some players playing overseas. But in this particular case, the Rangers are winning after a couple of blowouts. They had a couple of close shootout, one victory and one loss to the Islanders, and then also a recent victory against the last place Washington Capitals. So the Rangers are in third in their division. They moved up from 8th to 7th in the overall playoff picture in the East. For those of you that don't know, it works the same way as basketball, 8 from the East and 8 from the West, pretty much the exact same playoff format. And the Knicks didn't get Steve Nash in the offseason, but the Rangers did get Rick Nash, and it's paying off in dividend, getting that goal in the shootout as well. A very impressive one, coming to a dead stop and getting that goal. So it's very exciting watching the Rangers. My boy Marion Gabrick over here, one of the leading scorers in the league as well, doing his thing. And you know, the rookie Chris Kreider got downgraded to the Hartford Whalers, but then came right back up because of injury. So you know, I'm interested to see a lot of potential in the kid. He scored his first goal this season. Hopefully he'll get into the swing of things. He's more of a lot of people feel that he doesn't have the physical presence out there, but he was more of a speed guy and a goal scorer. But you know, with all the additions, I think the Rangers have a good shot. I mean, it is a shortened season. They are in the 7th place right now, but I think they're going to climb that ladder in the Eastern Conference very shortly. They're starting to get that chemistry going. Like I said, the Knicks didn't get Steve Nash. The Rangers got Rick Nash. But going over to the Knicks real quick, you know, the Knicks getting Rasheed Wallace, since he went down, I realized an interesting stat. They're actually only 15-13 without Rasheed Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace was one of the big comeback stories in basketball as far as how well he was playing, how well he was helping the defense, and how he was hitting three-pointers, not just like you know, former LA Faker Andrew Bynum just chucking
him up there. Yeah,
his threes. He's
always been a shooter though.
Defensively. But the Knicks are also looking to get like Kenyon Martin, who's also old. Maybe they're
early in the year too, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're looking again a little closer, since it's about the time, you know, to make final movements. There's also the trade deadline in the NBA in effect. That is Thursday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we'll be talking a lot about all the trades out there on this Sunday's episode of Real Fans Real Talk at 7:30. We are live every Tuesday on BronxNet Television, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching us on YouTube, obviously we're not live, but you subscribe to us and you'll make sure you get the updates of all of our upcoming episodes. All our archived episodes are on the RealFansRealTalk.com website. The live player for BronxNet is there. Just go to RFRT Media, drop-down menu, RFRT TV. You could watch us live every Tuesday, 5:30 from wherever you are by going on the RealFansRealTalk.com website. Also, make sure you like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk. We archive all of our previous episodes, as well as some of our specials out there. We have the special of myself and Trip Young going over to Boston, a little trailer for that, which is coming out this spring. We have my first MMA fight, which was an instant classic. If those of you who haven't seen it, make sure you check us out. Just like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk. I'd like to thank Horace from Raleigh and Terry from Uniondale for writing in. The fan mail address is fanmail@RealFansRealTalk.com. Keep sending those fan mail questions, or send us hate mail questions. If you don't like the something about us, and feel free to send us the hate mail. We get a laugh out of that as well. So make sure you check us out, RealFansRealTalk.com.
We're going to wrap this one up as we're coming close to the end, but you guys stay tuned in, because we got a lot of special guests that's going to be coming on to the show in the next couple of weeks, so you want to be tuned in for that. And of course, I'm just going to give a universal final thought, and this is just going to be a thank you to the fans that have been supporting us on both the radio radio and on the television as we make our journey to bring you guys the best sports, news, and talk radio and television show on the planet. So for myself, Trip Young, Mark the Statman Skevich, Sean Fontaine, and the lovely Rose Clear, we will see you guys right back here next week live at 5:30 on BronxNet Radio. Television.
Real talk, real fans, realtalk.com, real fans, realtalk.com, real fans, real talk, real fans, real talk, real fans, realtalk.com, real fans, realtalk.com.